other observers. So I will.
Rima?
Yes?
I'm just going to send a reminder on the WhatsApp group to see if everyone will join us.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, we won't start quite yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna. All right. So we have one person in the waiting room that is logging on, so we'll just give them a few more minutes. And Victoria, I see that her message went onto WhatsApp here. Let's all mute, please, only when we talk. Okay. Thank you for saying that.
Good afternoon, colleagues.
Good
Do
afternoon.
you hear me?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a quick running, there you will see reaction. If you would like to say something, you type there. You can raise your hand so that we would see if you have a question. You type at the reaction and then you said raise hand, and then it will appear on the screen, and then we will see if you have something to say.
Excellent.
This is what the rules.
The reaction.
Yeah, type reaction and then you can raise your hand if you have something to say. So the thing can be orderly.
Okay.
Okay, I think we will go ahead and begin. So I wanted to thank everyone for joining our OFISH, our first official OFISH training. And we would like to, what we're going to do as far as the agenda for the training today is begin with introducing the OFISH team. And then after that, I'm going to do a few introductory slides to tell you about the overview of what OFISH can do. And then after that, our trainer, Bob and Shiri, are going to share their screen and walk you through a few boardings on Android and iOS. So I would like to start off with a few housekeeping issues. I see that most of you have muted your audio. If you have any issues with hearing the video or seeing it, you can stop your video so that it can be transmitted more smoothly. And oh, we have Cedric joining us now. If you would like to ask a question, please go ahead and at the bottom of the screen, you will see a reactions icon. When you press on that, there will be a raise hand icon that appears. So feel free to do that at any time. And also at the bottom of the screen in the middle, there's a chat icon, and that will open a sidebar where you can type your questions that you have. And for this training, we are going to try to keep our questions to the end of the training, but if there's something in particular, if you're having any kind of difficulty, please don't hesitate to let us know. So my name is Karima Sharif, and I've been working with WildAid since 2016, and I am the program manager for Gabon. And I also serve as the purchasing agent and technical advisor for the WildAid Marine Program, which consists of the Galapagos, coastal Ecuador, Tanzania, the Bahamas, Palau, and Indonesia. At the very beginning of the pandemic in 2020 in February, we began working with MongoDB on creating the OFISH app. So next, I would like to introduce Shiri from our OFISH team. If you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about yourself and why you think OFISH is important.
Sure.
Cool.
Just want to make sure my muting is okay.
So we can't hear you.
But when I do talk, it is muted. This one's muted. Can everyone make sure they're muted?
Let's see.
Why don't you introduce someone else and I'll figure it out.
Okay, all right, no problem. Bob, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hopefully we don't have the same echo problem. How's that sound? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes.
Great, awesome. Yeah. So my name's Bob Farrell. I've been working with WildAid since the beginning of 2019. I serve as their law enforcement subject matter expert. OFISH was a continuation of a project that I had developed a little bit earlier. As we'll see when we go through the training, it was primarily developed for fisheries inspectors, but we think it might work for observers as well. And the good news is I was also an observer. I spent 2 months on a Korean vessel up in the Bering Sea. So I have some familiarity with your job and looking forward to see if this app can help you guys do your job a little bit.
Yeah.
Want to try again, Sherry?
All right, how's that? Great.
Yeah.
My name is Yuri Cabral. I am a product manager at MongoDB, which is a database company. And last year we partnered with WildAid to create the OFISH app. And I'm here with my designer, Mike Waltzer, who designed all the pretty screens on the app. And so we're here to, help answer questions. What if I do this? And we're also here to, if you're like, oh, if you have an idea of a feature, that's something that we, take under advisement. And we're the ones that handle all the technical stuff. If something crashes, we're the ones who get that report. If you send us feedback, we're the ones who get that. And so I just think this is amazing. Working for a software company, it's kind of like, okay, you're making a technology. Who knows who's going to use it? Are they going to use it for good? Are they going to use it for, something else? They're using it to make money. What are they doing it for? So for me, working on OFISH is just very fulfilling because, there's no idea more helpful, I think, to the planet than, helping combat climate change and making sure that our waterways are clean.
Great, Shiri. Thank you so much for telling us more about your job and your involvement with OFISH. So next, I will go ahead and share my screen and do a few introductory slides of OFISH. Okay. Can everyone see the blue OFISH screen? Yep, okay, great.
Yep. Yes, we can see.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to reiterate our gratitude for your participation and also say that your feedback, your honest feedback, is going to help us make a better product. So please feel free to be honest about what you experience with it. That would be very helpful. So as many of you know, collecting data at sea can be challenging. It is often incorrect or incomplete, or might even be lost at sea, especially if you're recording on paper. And then often it needs to be duplicated when it's transcribed on shore. So one of the things that I wanted to say about OFISH is that it can be used as a standalone application, or it can be integrated with existing record management systems. and it enables officers to efficiently capture and share data about vessel identity, catch, captain, crew, and more. So here are some of the advantages of OFISH. OFISH automatically documents your location and the time of the boarding, so you don't have to. When you are at sea, connectivity is often unavailable. The mobile app can be used on and offline, and once a user returns to shore, where a signal is available, the most recent data is synchronized. OFISH offers a desktop interface with enhanced reporting functionality. The data can be shared between multiple agencies while securing that the data shared is read-only and cannot be modified by unauthorized users. OFISH reduces the amount of time that is spent by offering a pre-filling drop-down menus, photos, and notes. And it is also available in multiple languages, which you can change in the settings on your phone. So many of you have already hopefully downloaded OFISH. If you are on an Android system, in the Google Play Store, what you will see is the install button and the early access. On an iPhone, when you go to the App Store, you will see this icon and you will open it and it will show up on your desktop. When you're looking at your phone at all of your apps, this is the icon that will appear. And once you click on that, it will take you to a login screen. And at this point, I will transfer the screen share to my colleague, Bob, who will walk you through a few boardings.
Yeah, thank you, Karima. Let's get this going here. Can everyone see the my iPhone screen?
Yes,
Yes, we
can.
can.
All right. So you see down in the right-hand corner in the lower right there, you see the OFISH icon. So if you guys pull out either your Apple or your Android phone, if you could locate that icon and go ahead and click it. And as Karima said, you should get to this screen right here. I'll give you a minute or so to get there. So once you're at that screen, you should have been assigned your email or username and password. So go ahead and type that in and let's get everybody logged in. Once you type in your username and password, if you hit the login button, it should load up and it should show you your position wherever you're at. You can see I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada today. So hopefully everyone got to this screen. Is there anybody that hasn't got to the screen? You can maybe raise your hand in the chat room and we can try and walk you through it. But everybody should be here by now.
Victoria, did you want to say anything?
I just wanted to confirm whether the location that should be displayed is where you are or is it where I am?
Where you are, Victoria. So everyone's position should be where their phone is.
But this is not where I am. What is appearing on my screen, this is not my location.
Is it close?
Sorry?
Is it close to your location?
No, it's not. It's not anywhere close to my location. What is displayed here is north 52, that is a degree, and 21. But I should be around about 1 degree, 23, sorry.
Yeah, it may be a setting on your phone, Victoria. So
Yeah.
the app uses the phone's internal GPS or your Wi-Fi to determine its location. So the inaccuracy, or if it's different, that would be a setting on your phone, and we can maybe look at that a little in a bit. We can diagnose that. But for now, are you seeing a similar screen with latitude and longitude and maybe a map on it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's just go with that for now, and then we can try and diagnose what's going on with your particular phone in a few minutes. So let's just take a look at this screen right now. You should see whatever device you're on, you should see a couple different icons. Up on the top, you'll see find records. You'll see a little fish icon with a red circle, latitude and longitude. You should see some sort of map on your phone. And then on the bottom, you'll also see a little magnifying glass with find records, an icon with board vessel, and draft boardings. And we'll talk about all of these. Karima, can you monitor the chat for me so I'm not missing a question?
Sure, I will.
Yeah, so anyway, when this app was designed so that you could be at sea or on shore. So for instance, if you do an inspection at the dock, this app can differentiate or tell the difference when you're not at sea or at sea. So for most of you, you're going to be at sea. So the way that we've done that is we've put the little icon up at the top with the red circle, means that we're on land. So if everyone could hit that icon once, you'll see something pop up that looks like this. So we have a couple different choices there, but for now, the line that says not at sea, we're going to go ahead and hit that toggle to the right. So you just hit it with your finger, it would turn green, and now that means you're at sea. So that's what most of you would be using because you're going to be on the boat. So once we've done that and selected the at sea, let's go ahead and close that, and we'll get back to the initial screen. So now the only difference is that screen you'll see in the upper right-hand corner is the little green dot, which means you're at sea. So hopefully everyone got there. I see there's 3 chats. Karima, anything of?
I just wanted to let you know that Shiri is available to share her iPad screen at any point if you wanted to show that as well.
The Android, perfect.
Yeah, she's got both. She has both the iPhone, iPad, and the Android.
Awesome. Okay, great. So normally when we do a fisheries inspection, we see a vessel. We see it at sea or at the dock or whatever, but we have a vessel that we have in mind that we want to go board. So it's a little bit different for you. You may be assigned to a particular vessel, and so you would start a boarding record based on that information. But anyway you get into it, we want to see the power of this particular app and the way it was designed is to give you information about a boat that's been previously inspected or had an observer on it, so that information is collected and you can share it. So if we now have a boat in mind that we want to look for or that we are going to get on, we want to see if there's any other records associated with that boat. So for instance, if we go to board a vessel, and again, it's a big blue button right in the middle of the app. Let's go ahead and all push that. And we should come to this screen. And what we have now is a list of vessels that have been previously boarded. the last 5, in fact, that not by you, but by everybody using this app. So you can see all the vessels that have been boarded. If you don't see it on this initial list, we can search for a vessel by putting in the name at the top. So if you hit that field, a keyboard should come up and you could search a vessel. Let's say that we were searching for a vessel named the Kingfisher. So I would simply type in KI, and I see that there is no vessel named the Kingfisher. If there was a vessel that came up, if I type in, I'm looking for the Muxia, you can see I type in MU and that previous boarding comes up. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But for now, we just want to add a new vessel. So this is going to be the most simple boarding that you have. So if you're either an observer on the boat or an inspector going onto a new boat, the boat doesn't have a record in the database yet, and you need to add it in there. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to add a new vessel. So simply type that field, and you can see this is our first screen. And again, this screen should come up in the location should be where you are. It automatically records the date and the time once you hit the board vessel button, the date, time, and your position. So if you're getting on the boat, you can record instantly by just starting a new boarding record, the vessel's location and the date and time that you started this record. And we'll talk a little bit about the strategies that you would use as an observer to perhaps get the data that you need. But I just want to run through the app so you can look at it, you can see it, and we can add a little bit of data together initially. And then we can talk about how things might be more useful for you as an observer versus the inspection, the way the app was designed. So again, we have date, time, and location. So you see the big blue bar down at the bottom that says vessel. So we go ahead and tap that. And you should have a screen that looks similar to this. And Karima, how am I doing? I see there's 5 chats. Everybody's on board. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, perfect. So here we have the vessel information. And you can see there's various fields for you to input that information. So again, we're doing this for the very first time on a brand new vessel. So none of these fields will have anything in it. So the first one will be the vessel name. So we can pick any name. Again, let's try the Kingfisher. And we move to the next field, which will be the permit number. Now, again, this could be a vessel registration number. It could be a fishing permit number. This is something that you guys will have to decide what number you'd like to record here, but it should be a number that's associated with the vessel itself that doesn't change. You know, it's maybe a vessel registration number. Let's just go with 1, 2, 3, 4. And the home port. Now, this is where the vessel is normally located at. We'll say Baja because we're close to Mexico here. And we have the flag state. So this is important. I'm sure you guys are familiar with port state measures and various licensing protocols. So not every vessel that you observe may have its flag state may be different than Namibia. So we have a drop-down list that will allow you to choose the flag state of the vessel. In this case, let's just stay with Namibia. And then important information that the inspector normally captures will be the last delivery. So this will be the last time the vessel either offloaded on shore or in some cases may have been transshipment at sea. You may have offloaded at sea, but you can record the date. And this is where there may be some minor differences between the iPhone and the Android phone and how the date picker comes up. But you can see here on the iPhone, it's down at the bottom. So you would click that and you can choose your date and time of last offload. I'm going to pick July 28th. And we also record the name of the business. Now we have some businesses front loaded in here. If the business has been previously entered into the app, then it will appear here and you can simply choose from this menu of businesses. So we'll choose that one and it gives a great way to record that a lot faster than writing everything down. If the business isn't in there already, you can obviously type it in as we did with the vessel. And the last thing for the vessel screen that we'd like to record is the existence of any electronic monitoring system. So in Namibia, you may have AIS, you may have VMS, or some sort of camera system aboard the boat, and we can add information about that here. If there is none, then we can simply skip that field. So for now, we're going to skip that and we're going to move on to crew. I'm going to stop here briefly, and if there's any questions, Karima, in the chat, hopefully everybody's caught up. They've entered information into the vessel information, and we can move on.
Victoria says that they primarily have VMS, and she's requesting that any observers do a screen grab of the time and date, the location screen with the map, so that we can see if an accurate location is being listed. One of the phones is showing London, so that was something that we'll look into.
Okay, great. So since the vessels do have VMS, let's just go ahead and take a look at what that screen looks like. So we can add the electronic monitoring system, and you can see EMS type. We'll go ahead and click in that field, and you can see we have a drop-down menu. You guys can add whatever elements you have in here. In this case, VMS is already in there, so we'd simply pick that. And then there should be a registry number or a permit number associated with that device, which is important. So we want to go ahead and record that number. And again, we'll just say that's 123. And so now we have the VMS associated with that vessel recorded in our app as well.
Hey, Bob, since Victoria wanted a picture of it, could you show them how you can attach a picture to maybe the electronic monitoring system, say if you were taking a picture of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sherry. So in each field throughout the app, you can see that there's a little paperclip icon in the right-hand corner. So what that does is that allows you to attach a note or a picture to any one of those fields. So in this case, if we wanted to attach a picture of the VMS unit, for instance, the installation of that unit, we could simply tap that icon, and it gives us the choice to either add a photo or a note or back out of that. So the photo can be a picture that you've taken on your phone already, or a picture that you can take on your phone at that moment. So let's go ahead and let's click the photo, and you can see it gives you the choice of your camera, which you can take a picture immediately, or you can take a photo that you've previously taken out of your photo library on the phone. And we're going to do something with this a little bit later. So for now, let's go ahead and cancel that, and I'll show you how to take that picture in a few moments. We're going to do it in another field. So anything else before we move on to how we would enter the crew? How are we looking, Karima, on the chat?
Looks good. I was wondering if, yeah, please proceed. As far as Victoria's request, I was wondering if we go back to the basic information of this particular boarding, and if people did a screen grab of that, that would be useful for us to see what they are seeing.
I tell you what, let's work through the rest of the app, and then we're going to go and look at how we switch between the different modules in the app, and then we can go back and grab that screen grab.
That's great.
So, but let's move on. So we've entered the basic information was logged in, the vessel information was logged in. So let's move to crew. So at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that big blue bar that says crew. Go ahead and tap that. And you'll see that we have room to enter the captain's name and a crew member. And we'll show you a little bit about that. So obviously the captain is going to be someone who is important on the boat, and you're going to want to capture their name. So in this case, we'll just say his name is Jim, and his last name is James. And hopefully there is a licensing system that you all have for crew. And if not, you can enter maybe the national ID number or any type of unique identifier number that's associated with the captain. Again, that can be his fishing license, his permit number, his national ID, his driver's license, whatever you have that's consistent to allow you to identify this person at a later time. So again, his license can be, let's say 234, and so that can be in the database. Again, if you
I believe that Victoria has a question.
okay.
Sorry, I wanted to know if these fields are mandatory in that it allows you to continue with some missing information. Does the app allow you to do that?
Yes, you can continue without the information, and we'll show you a little bit about that later. But for now, we're just working through it stepwise. But you can skip fields, you can move back and forth. You can. There are certain critical pieces of information that you would have to plug in. But for instance, if there is no crew, there is no captain, then you could potentially skip those fields. But generally, if you board a boat, there's going to be someone on it. So those are things that would be necessary. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. And so moving on, so we have the captain. If there is no license number with the captain, again, we have that little icon to the right, the paperclip, and we can take a picture of the captain, which some systems, for instance, in the Philippines, they have a face recognition system that this could be integrated with. So you could contact or identify crew members at a later date, even without ID. So in this case, we have the system, we've cataloged the captain's name, we've written down his license number, and now we can go to crew. So we simply type the crew member field. Hang on. Let's go, hang on.
I think if you tap by the pen there, it allows you. Yes.
There you go. Thank you.
She's already
So,
a pro.
Yeah. So again, this is the same as the captain. So crew members, you can add crew members as many as you want. You can take their picture, but we can just add their name. So let's just add another name. Let's go. Sorry, my fingers are a little fat. We'll say that his name is Jim Smith and his license is 123. And then you can see in the bottom, we can add additional crew members. You can add another crew member. They're all named Jim, so it might get a little confusing for you. but you can add as many crew members as you want. And again, pictures, notes, maybe Jim didn't have a license. So let's say that we can add a note here. No license. So does everyone see how we can add the captain, crew member, or multiple crew members? We can add notes, we can add photos, just like the previous field. So
Yes.
great. And I'll show you a little bit of a time saving thing on this on the next boarding. But for now, these were, we had to type these names in. In the next module, we're going to see how the drop-down menus may be able to save some time. So if you go down to the bottom of the screen, you'll see activity. Go ahead and hit that button. And again, Victoria, you said, well, can we continue with leaving a field blank? And this is a good example of like, yes, we did leave a field blank. It's sending you a reminder is like, do you want to fill this out? And you can say yes, or you can give a reason in the notes. In this case, we have no license, and we're going to go ahead and continue. So in the activity, we have a really good time-saving device, a drop-down menu. So what is the boat doing? Is the boat fishing? Is it moving between fishing spots? Is it offloading? There are other things the boat could be doing. So we want to know what it's doing. So we've provided a drop-down menu. So we have fishing, offloading, transiting, and other. So the other is another field that you can put in and again, add notes to if for some reason it's been in the shipyard for repairs, or there's some other thing that doesn't quite fit these three categories. But most of the time, the boat's going to be either fishing, offloading, or moving between spots. So in this case, let's say it's fishing. And then we have various drop-down menus for fishery. So what's the primary catch? Is it involved in the tuna fishery? Is it involved in ground fish fishery? You guys may have various fisheries that the boat is primarily targeting. It may change, but it's a drop-down menu that you can customize yourself. In this case, let's just say they're tuna fishing and the gear type. So again, the gear type saves time. You can add this based on what your local conditions are. In this case, we'll just say that they are long lining for tuna. So in this case, what we've done is we've captured their fishing. Their primary target species is tuna, and they are using long line gear. And again, these are customizable based on your needs. So on the bottom, we'll go to the next module, which will be catch. So if everyone could hit that blue button on the bottom, you can see that now we have catch. And once again, for catch, we've entered pre-filled out a drop-down menu for you to save time so you don't have to type the species in. So in this case, we have a large drop-down menu. So I can either scroll through all the choices, or I can go to the search bar and start to type in what I want to look for. In this case, they're targeting tuna. So I'm going to type in TU. I still have a lot of choices. TUN. Now it decreases my choices a little bit, and I can see the second choice is tuna. So saves a little bit of time. And what we've done is preload some of the species list that you sent in, Victoria, into the catch category so that we can more easily find them. So again, we can add the weight. So let's say that we have 100, and then we can choose the amount. So in this case, we have both English and metric. So we'll go ahead and select kilograms. And if for some reason you also establish a count, and in some fisheries, you may have both a weight and a count of fish, we've also given you the option to be able to record that as well. And you can record multiple species, as many as you care to record. So again, it's the same situation. You can scroll through the menu or and pick through, or you can type ahead and add all the catch on the boat. If for some reason there's a species that you weren't familiar with, there is an other category. And again, we can take a picture, we can make notes, we can maybe bring that back later if there was a species that we couldn't identify on the boat, which sometimes happens. You know, as an observer, sometimes the fishermen pull up something that you don't quite know what it is right away. So this allows you to record that, take a picture, and have someone look at it a little bit later. Okay, so we've recorded the basic information, the vessel, the crew, the activity. We have some catch, and now we'll move to the violations category. Now, I'm not sure, as an observer, you may not ever use this category, but as an inspector, we're going to make a record of any discrepancies or violations that we may have found on the boat. And again, since I added that second one, it's asking me, well, hey, excuse me, do you want to leave those blank? I'm going to say yes and go to my violation information. So in this case, if you think back on the crew, we did have one crew that had no license. So that's one of the provisions in here, is not comply with license conditions. And we had asked you to provide some common violations. This is what you provided. We added those in as a drop-down menu. Again, time saving, you don't have to type all that. So we say not comply with license conditions. And we can say, who was that issued to? And you can see that Jim Smith, and Jim Green were all on the boat, but Jim Green didn't have the license. So we can say that that violation was associated with Mr. Green. And if you gave him a warning, and or he was issued a citation, or there was some sort of administrative action, perhaps you wrote a report to forward to the enforcement authorities, you can make that choice on what you did. Again, if it was just something that this will be dictated by your policy, by your agency. But if you just said, you know, this was something you wanted to note, and for future reference, it might be a warning. If it's something that you filled out a report on, it might be a citation. So in this case, let's just say that we filled out a report and we forwarded that to our supervisor. So we'll just call it a citation. If, for instance, there was any sort of fish that was confiscated or any other item that was confiscated associated with this, we could put that down in the seizure category. And again, as an observer, you may not be doing this, but as a fisheries inspector, you may seize a portion of the catch or perhaps illegal gear. So the next category will be a risk category. And this is important for the next observer or the next inspector that gets on that boat to understand immediately. And we'll look at this a little bit more in depth coming up. But we want to know, how was that the time that you were on the boat? Was everything okay? Was everybody friendly? Were they professional? Or were there problems or issues associated with being on that boat? So we want to assign that boat a risk category. So in most cases, the risk will be green, which means that there were no violations, there were no safety issues, there were no problems on the boat, and that will allow the next person getting on that boat to have a little bit more information before they get on. Another category might be amber. And this follows on a system that we use in law enforcement: green, amber, red, just to denote levels of risk. And much like a traffic light, green means go, yellow means caution, red means stop. So red means there's something that you need to consider on the boat. So when we assign a risk to the boat, and we say amber, it might be that we gave them a warning. It might be that maybe there's a safety issue that we want to consider, but it's not that serious. And we can put that, that issue down in the reason for amber. In this case, because we wrote a report and we're going to forward that, we wrote a citation, we can assign it red risk so that the next person getting on the boat knows that there was a report issued for a violation on the boat. So we can either make it in the reason for red. Let's do that. The reason for red was no license for crew member. And we can add that. We can also add a note. Maybe he said something to you like, didn't have it with him. So that's kind of our risk category. So that's good to know for the next person getting on the boat. Now, if there's anything that you didn't capture in the entire boarding that didn't fit into those categories, whether it's some notes you want to make for the next observer, some notes you want to make for yourself, some pictures you want to add, you can use the next category in notes and go ahead and hit that button, and you can add anything you want in here. This is a free typing field, so you can say, you know, captain was nice and good food, right? Anything you want to add. So we've gone through all the information, and now we're at a point where we can go back and review the information, we can submit, we can have a lot of choices. So based on what Victoria's request was, we want to be able, if we want to go back or we want to move between these fields, you can see that moving forward, we just hit the blue button at the bottom. But as you see across the top, you can see all those fields appear. So you can scroll back and forth, and you notice that a couple of them are orange. And that means that we move forward without filling out a particular field. So if we want to figure out why, say, crew was orange, you can hit that banner at the top, and we can go back to crew. So you can see I scrolled through a few there. But so in crew, we've got everything filled out. We just didn't fill out that the license number because we didn't have one. So we can double check. And we filled out all the information in there. But basically you can toggle back and forth through any of those just by scrolling back and forth. So at the top of the screen, you'll see cancel, new boarding, and save. Both cancel and save are blue. So if for some reason we want to start all over again, we could hit cancel. But in this case, we've entered in all our information. We've reviewed back and forth by toggling through the fields, and we can hit save. So we see we have a couple different choices. We have keep editing, which if you hit that button, you'll just go right back to the screen again. And you can go back and say you forgot to do something, you want to add something else. You can continue to edit your live boarding. Hit save again. Those three choices come up.
Can you just, you at the very top of that little pop-up, you could see that it says you left the following sections blank, that there's some part of it. And so that is the same as the orange section. So even if you've forgotten to go back, it reminds you again here.
Yeah, thanks, Sherry. So, okay, so we went over keep editing. We have save and finish later, which we're gonna do on the next boarding. And then we're gonna have submit. Again, this is the simplest thing that we can do. We've boarded, we've got on a boat, we've recorded the data at that very time, at the real time, and we wanna go ahead and submit that record. So the last button on there is submit. Once you hit that, this entire record will be going to the database, and there will be a permanent record of everything you entered in the database. You won't be able to go back and change that with the app. There's a way you can do it, but you would have to go back to the office and change that data. So for now, if you're comfortable with all the data that you've inputted, go ahead and hit the submit button. And I'm going to do that right now. So it gives the boarding submitted. Okay. And we go back to our initial screen. Now here's the test. We'll see if it worked. So everyone should have done a boarding. Everyone should have entered the data. So those records should show up in our live database. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit board vessel once again, the big icon in the middle of the screen. And you can see that the Kingfisher shows up. Is everybody seeing that?
Yes. It's clear.
Yes.
All right. So that wasn't there before. So that's good. So that means that that record that we entered now can be shared among everybody. So it's in there. Once you now have that boat in there, we can go ahead and board that boat again. We can create a new record for that boat with different information. So we have a lot of options. Go ahead, Sherry. Were you waving? Sorry.
I was giving a thumbs up.
And an echo. All right. So are there any questions? I know we went through that a little fast, but I wanted to kind of get you just to look at the app, what the information was that we collect, how it goes into the app, and now we can start to kind of look at some of the features that might be able to save you time while you're on the boat. Does anybody have any questions whatsoever? How's our chat looking, Karima? I see there's 8 comments or.
Yep, it's there were some technical issues. Someone lost Wi-Fi, but no questions at this point in the chat.
All right, cool. So again, you don't need Wi-Fi to enter this in order to see our presentation, I guess you need it. But that's one good thing about the app is that you can do this while you're offline. And once you come back into a cell signal or a Wi-Fi signal, all the information will be uploaded so everyone can share it. So let's say that you were an observer assigned to the Kingfisher for the very first time. We entered the information on the Kingfisher. We did everything that first time for them. So now I'm either getting on the boat again, a new day starts, a new offload starts, or perhaps another observer is getting on the Kingfisher for another observed trip. They can go.
Share my screen, Bob, and they could see that it shows up on me, or are we not ready for that part yet?
For the Android, you mean, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Do I have to not share mine anymore?
Correct.
Pause share. There we go.
Just get over here. Oh, I have to move my Zoom window to the window I want to share. 1 second. Oh yeah, there we go. Share screen. Yeah. This one. Alrighty, can you see my officer profile?
Yes.
Great. I just went at CM in my profile. Should I go to dark mode? What do you think, Bob? let's say it's bright on the ship, really bright, or maybe it's dark. You can see I'm here in Manhattan. So I see the kingfisher, right? So I went to search. I can see that the kingfisher is right here. So I'm gonna look at it, make sure there's no issues. I can look at other records. Yeah. Great. So now what should I do?
So,
I'm gonna have you tell you. I'm gonna have you narrate, and I will
great,
just.
yeah. So as Sherry said, so we can look at the records on the kingfisher. So now we have 2 boardings and 2 citations. So it looks like maybe only one of your, can we go, let's see. Yeah.
Oh, this one is, yeah, I think this is the one you did, right? That we just did.
Yeah. Can we look at the other one and see who's, because we should have several in there, right? If everyone did this.
Let's see. I'm looking at the records that I have. Uh-oh. Sorry, I went off to a different screen. I did see like 3 or 4 different people doing things. I don't know if they all did the kingfisher or not.
Okay, perfect. So regardless, let's just say that we have the record for the kingfisher now. So, and again, you're getting on the boat for another time. You know, you could have boarded the boat previously, or you're an observer and you're boarding it for the first time. You go in and you look and you find that, well, yes, the boat has been boarded before, or it has had an observer before. So, and you want to look at the most recent information. We looked at that, but now you want to board the boat again. So down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the large blue kind of thing that says board vessel. So we'll go ahead and click that. And well, we'll just stay in dark mode, I guess, and hopefully it won't be too confusing.
Yeah.
So again, basic information. You have the date and the time and the location, which is automatically captured. You can move that, as Sherry is doing, to anywhere. For some reason, if you're not in the area where you're boarding the boat, this is designed to, you're on the boat, and at the time of the boarding, you're capturing where you are and when you are immediately. But you also have the ability to change that location if you need to somewhere else. But let's just say that that's where we're at, and we'll go ahead and show you one of the nice features about boarding a vessel that's been boarded before. So down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see you saw the icon that said vessel. So once you click that, this screen comes up. And you see that you have 2 choices. You can pre-fill the vessel information from a previous boarding, which should save you time. Oftentimes, the vessel name is going to be the same. The vessel permit number is going to be the same. The home port is going to be the same. And the flag state will be the same. So you can.
I think it didn't. I think it's because I hit that button wrong. Let's
Yeah.
now let's show you what canceling a boarding looks like. Cancel the boarding. Now, I can also go back into not dark mode. So let's board the kingfisher, board the vessel, go here, pre-fill. There we go.
Right. So you can go through and pre-fill the information from the boat from the previous boarding, which should save you a bunch of time, especially as an observer. One of the strategies you may do is you may create this record at the end of each day, at the end of at each offload. You could even do it per haul or per set. So in which case you would save a lot of time by pre-filling the vessel information every time you created a record. So I'm not sure how you do it with your written forms now, but if you say, for instance, we're on the boat during the day, and your choice was to create a record for every haul or every set that the boat did. You could do that. You could create a new record every time. or you could do it at the end of a 24-hour period, or however you guys decide to use this app. This will definitely save you time if you're on the boat for, I heard, 2 or 3 months, and you're having to pre-fill this info or having to write this information for every record that you create. That would take a lot of time. So in this case, you can pre-fill, which should save you a bunch of time. So moving down to the category of last delivery, again, if you're on the boat for several months, you may leave this blank. So in this case, we're not going to have the last delivery information because we haven't had a last delivery. We've been on the boat for a couple days. You don't want to refill that out again. You've already captured the EMS system or the electronic monitoring system. If you've been on the boat continuously, that's not going to change. So we can go ahead and move to potentially the crew. So go ahead and move to crew, and you say continue with empty fields. Yes, for the reasons I said. So we can go ahead and pre-fill the crew from a previous boarding. Now, in this case, if a crew member changes, you can delete that information. If oftentimes maybe new crew came on the boat, you can modify the information. Or as we did in the last module, we could simply leave it blank to save time if you're only creating a record for catch. So in this case, the crew's the same. We'll just go ahead and move on to activity. So moving to activity, again, this will change, when you're on the boat or creating records. So, but again, we have drop-down menus. So if we go to activity, the activity field, we can say we're fishing. The species is still tuna. Or the fishery, I'm sorry, is tuna, and the gear is longline. And we move to catch. So here's where in your program this is probably going to be the most useful module for you. So again, you can change these amounts. Say if you wanted to do every haul or every set, you could record the specific catch for that haul or for that set. You would also have recorded the position from the previous record where that haul or set was conducted. You could do this at the end of a 24-hour period, or you could do this for the just the end of the voyage, say the offload. You could capture the entire offload this way. So for species, we'll say tuna.
And I want to show here, you don't necessarily have to scroll through too. You can just type here and it will search for you.
Right. And let's say that we're doing the offload after 2 months. So let's say we'll do 10 as the number, and in the category we'll do tons, metric tons. And count we'll leave blank. We're not going to count 10 metric tons of fish. Hopefully you guys don't have to do that. So, and in the violation category, we didn't have any, so we'll go ahead and skip that. And in risk, everything went fine. So we'll go ahead and assign, we'll keep that as a green and move to notes. And in the notes, we'll say food was really good. And we'll go ahead and click save up in the right-hand corner to submit that.
Showing them how to remove something. So let's say, I've typed something and I say, whoops, I didn't want this, right? And so there's a little remove right here. See this remove, and then it just gets rid of it. And it's like that for crew and a couple of other things too. So if you add something by mistake, you can remove it that way.
Thanks, Sherry. So we can either hit the large bar on the bottom, or we can hit that small save up on the top. So in this case, let's go with the bar on the bottom. And again, so we get this is Android version. So we get the same choices. We have save and finish later, keep editing, or submit. So in this case, let's go ahead and hit save and finish later, because we want to keep that in our own internal storage, and we're going to finish it a little bit later. So go ahead and hit OK. And we get to our home screen again. Now on our home screen, you can see that we have the choices. We can find records. Again, we talked about that. We can board a vessel, and we've done that now twice. And we also have this new category that we didn't talk about called draft boardings. And you can see that there's a little number 1 there, which means that you have 1 draft boarding saved. Now, the function of this is sometimes, you know, there might be multiple things happening. For us as a fishery inspector, I may have to jump on another boat really quickly. I don't have time to finish completely that boarding form. I want to go back and check it later. For whatever reason, this draft boarding is for you alone to go back and finish later. No one else can see this. They can only see your submitted boarding. So you can go back and finish it later. So we can open that up now. Let's go ahead and open it up. And you can see you only have 1 in there. It's the Kingfisher. So let's go ahead and open that record. And we can go back and edit all the other fields that we may want it to go back. So let's say that we looked and we wanted to add a note, and at the very end of the section. And here's where we're going to get a little tricky for you. So we want to add a note, and we want to add a picture. So go ahead and click the camera icon. Now, what I want you to do is, can you go back, Sherry?
Sorry, yes.
So the camera icon, once you click that camera icon, as we talked about before, you've got a couple of different choices. You can either choose a picture from your file, you can go to another source of pictures, or you can pick your camera that you're using now. So let's go ahead and pick that camera. And what I want you to do is do exactly like Sherry did, and turn it on yourself, and you're going to click a selfie, and we're going to see if these records show up in the database. So go ahead and take a selfie of yourself.
Great.
And once you've done that, you should have the option to say OK or retry. So let's click OK. And then now that picture shows up as a note. So that will be in the boarding record that you created. So let's go ahead and hit that save bar again. And again, you say, well, we left those sections blank. Yes, that was on purpose. I can either keep editing, I can resave it and keep it in my draft phase, or I can submit it. So let's go ahead and submit it. And we get that confirmation that we've submitted the boarding. So let's see. Everyone should be able to see those boardings shortly.
Bob, I just wanted to do a time check. We're approaching 8:20, so that'll be 5:20 in Namibia. So
Right.
technically our time is 10 minutes left. One of the things in the chat that came up was that Victoria was suggesting that we do another exercise over again using Namibian data. So maybe she could speak while we enter in the data on an Android.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead. Sherry, you want to start a new boarding, and we'll have the observers enter in some of the data that they might be more comfortable with.
Okay. Should I enter in like an add new vessel or?
Yeah, you should add a new vessel. So everyone should be on this screen. So again, Victoria, I'm not sure, where your location is, but hopefully everybody else is somewhere located in Namibia, and you're seeing this screen or a similar screen that shows the date and your local time with the location of where your phone is, and we can go ahead and start a new boarding. And Victoria, you can give us the data, and Sherry can fill it in for you. So let's move to vessel.
Before you continue, I just want to maybe choose any of the observers who are at sea. If anybody can just lead us for this activity, then it will be more of a real situation than me, because I'm on land right now. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Victoria.
Yes.
Is there somebody here who is currently at sea?
Yes.
Okay, Loide, maybe you can lead us so that we can capture the information based on where you are right now and the vessel and all that.
Mhm. I already tried, but my Wi-Fi is not that good. It's going off and on several times. Let me try.
The other option, Victoria, is if you have one of your observers who knows the information from a boat that you guys are familiar with, that might be easier than trying to have the connectivity at sea.
Okay, great. Anybody else wants to lead us in this? Okay, if there is nobody that's
Yes.
willing to do that,
Amunyela?
Amunyela. Okay, great.
Yes. Yes. The vessel information, vessel name.
Maybe, I don't know who is typing there. Whose screen is this?
That's my screen. Do you want me to stop sharing?
No,
Sure.
no. You can just type in the information that he's giving you.
Yep.
Great.
Yes. Let's all go to new body, please.
Hello, can I give the vessel name?
Yes, please.
Oh, vessel name is Bluefish.
Is it one word like this?
Yes.
Great.
The number is L30.
What, 30?
Yeah, L30.
EL30? I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Home port is Lutherets.
How do I spell that?
Lutherets is L-U, yes.
Like that?
L-U-D-E R-I-T-Z. Namibia. Last delivery 30 April 2021.
Business.
Business is Omuka Fishing.
Fishco.
Fish call, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so oh, it's here, but if it wasn't here, I could click new business. But it looks like it's here. Is this the one? Is that right? The fish core?
VMS. These letters are so small. The registry number. Please, the other colleagues, you must also help me here.
registry number for the bluefish, the VMS bluefish.
LB 9447. Okay.
Great. Should we go on to crew?
All right, let's go to the crew. Crew name
Captain.
John
This is the captain, John
James.
James. Okay. License number.
4457.
Mm.
Are there any more crew members on this crew? If not, we can remove.
David Chris.
David,
Chris.
how do we spell that?
CH.
Like this?
Yes.
Does it matter? Probably doesn't matter, huh?
Yeah.
And does David have a license?
Yes. 2215. All right. So can we move forward to activity? Fishing.
We've got tuna, ground fish, other.
Is lobster.
So I'm gonna write other, okay? And then the
Other.
So in the other, Sherry, we want to go ahead and record that in the notes, what that other might be.
great, so I'll go here to the paper clip and attach a note. And then I'm gonna write lobster,
Perfect.
okay? And then for the gear,
Traps.
traps, okay? Great. Should we move on to catch?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe they caught lobster, hopefully.
The
Which one?
species is it the species Jesus lalandi?
Jesus Lalandi. Okay, this one.
Wait.
Weight is 350 kgs.
It's a-
Okay. And do you have a count or no?
Pardon?
You have a count of how many? I mean, 350 kg is a lot, so maybe you don't know. Okay.
How many lobsters?
A lot.
4,500.
Okay. Is there another catch or just that?
It's only that.
So if there's another catch, if there's more fish, maybe they have the other kind of lobster, we could add it here.
Okay.
Or we can remove it if we realize, oh wait, no, that's all they have.
Okay.
So should
Fine.
we,
Let's
should we go to violation?
yes, let's proceed. Violation.
Violations.
No violation.
Great. So then they should be probably green, right? And then are there any notes or pictures?
Okay. Oh, that's how I do it.
One of the things that you may do as an observer, you may do, say, of those lobster, I don't know if you guys do samples, length frequencies of lobsters. You could add that in
Yes.
the notes. You could take pictures. So those are things that you could attach to the record if you had to, and might be valuable for what you do to capture electronically.
All right. Thank you.
Bob, I see that Victoria has raised her hand.
Mhm.
We are basically at our time limit for today. If we wanted to continue for a few more minutes so we could do some questions and answers, and how does that sound? Victoria, go ahead.
At the violation there, so basically if there is no violation, you don't click on violation, or what happens there? Sorry.
Yeah, you can just skip that complete module. And so there would be no violation data. If there is no violation, then you don't have to enter anything into that.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Shiri, can you just go ahead and save that record so that we have that? And again, that data should be shared among everybody. So we should see that. You can see it came up on your phone. Let's see if I have it on mine. Yep, I have it on mine. So again, a great way to share the data among everybody, to have that information ahead of time before you get on that boat.
So one thing that I would like to show is to log out, to be done, right? So let's say I'm coming back to shore. So I would click up here, this my profile where I became at sea. I can go not at sea.
Mhm.
And it shows me that in the time that I've been at sea, I did 12 boardings, which I did because I've been playing along. So I'm gonna now, so you can see what you've done. And then you can see, oh, if there's a draft, I can go back and edit that or something like, you don't have to go back here. But if you really are done at sea, you could say become not at sea.
And I would suggest that all of you go out, not at sea, and also log out, because the app sends you a reminder. And you may be in bed tonight and your phone will ding and you have a reminder that you're still at sea. So before we make sure to log out before you guys leave.
And it gives you a little warning, you know, if you're at sea and you want to log out, you can only log in once you have the cellular service. So you don't need any service to submit a record. That will automatically happen. But if you want to log in, you need to be, so you probably want to log in while you're kind of near shore, or you know you have connectivity.
Right. And then you could you can turn off the at sea or off on land while you're out there. But that's a good point. Once you log in for your trip, if you won't have connectivity, you want to stay logged in.
Great. I'm going to stop my share now. Although if there are questions, we can obviously, reshare.
Yeah, and we went through that pretty quick. We had 90 minutes. So I think we're probably, we're here to provide support, all three of us. So if there are specific questions we can answer now or coming up, we may schedule another small tutorial with all of you or some of you to see if this can be of benefit.
One of the things I was going to suggest is that everyone, now that they have the app on their phone, that they make some pretend boardings and type in and submit data that they just make up based on some invented situations. And then the other thing I was wondering is if I should share my screen in the off chance that the app were to crash, to provide data and what that would look like. Would that be a good idea?
I think that's the last thing we need to do, Karima, is make sure that there's a way for them to provide feedback, either a screenshot for Shiri or some way to, if there's a problem, that we can try and help fix it.
Okay, then I will quickly share my screen and show you guys what that slide looks like. Okay, so do you see the home page of my computer screen? So
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
if anything happens to the app on your phone, it will present you with this icon and it says, do you want to share additional information with the developer? You want to say yes, share it. And then there will appear a space where you can type in your email address and explain what activity, what you were typing in at the time that the crash happened. So that was basically what we wanted to share.
Rima, I can also, let me share my screen because if you're on iPhone, what you can do is if you take a screenshot, which hopefully I get the buttons right. So this is, you can see, I think you can see my screen here. I'm taking a screenshot. Oh, I did the wrong buttons. I did the wrong buttons again. I'm an Android user if you can't tell. There we go. So I took a screenshot. And what it should do is it should start a, here we go. So, so one of the things that you can do here is you can, you know, draw a circle around something, right? Or like, oh, look at this. This is weird. Or what's this button? And then when you hit done, it says, one of the things you can do is share beta feedback. And that will share the feedback to us. Right, so you can share your email address. That's optional, right? So I can, you know, say, here's my email address. You know, and tell us about your experience. I don't know, the location is wrong or something, right? Whatever it is you want to write here, and then you can submit it to us, and then that actually sends it to us. Now on Android, there isn't that capability. And so there's an email address that you can send things to on Android.
One thing that I see in the chat is that Victoria said that she did get a crash message before she started the meeting. Lovely. So yes, if that happens again, if you wouldn't mind saying what was happening, if you were logging on or logging off of the app, so that Shiri and her team might have that information. And another thing I wanted to mention is that I'm sure there'll be more opportunities for us to do training sessions. We would like, if you wouldn't mind, to write down any additional questions that you have in the WhatsApp group, the training group that we developed. So please feel free to continue to play with the app, put any questions in the WhatsApp group, and Shiri and myself and Bob and Mike will engage and answer any questions that you have. I see that Suloka has a question. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Sherry. Sherry, we are around 16. We have been now trained via this app of yours. Now, can we have also in-house training regarding this app, or only these 16 people on your database now?
Yes, that is correct. We need to create user profiles for every person that would be using this app, and this version has been catered specifically to the Fisheries Observer Agency.
So if something changes, for example, there's a species you want to add, or maybe there's another activity or different gear, we can
You're muted, Sherry.
We can change
Not anymore.
Perfect.
So one thing I wanted to mention too is Karima said, go ahead and play with the app. If you want to enter live data into this app, that's what we want. So you can become familiar with it and do pretend boardings. But if you're out at sea or you want to start entering data into the app, that's what we're here for. So if you're comfortable using it right away, it's fairly intuitive. I know your job is slightly different than an inspector job, but you can start adding the data in right away and getting these boarding records generated.
Are there any other questions? Oh, here we go. For Android, folks should send their email to ofish@wildaid.org. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat, but we might follow up with an email.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in a month or two, we will also send to your email a little series of questions, a survey to find out a little more about what your experience has been. And we'll be definitely in communication with Victoria to figure out what else we can do to customize this version of OFISH so it is as helpful as possible for all of you observers.
I see there's some records on there from people playing with the app already, so that's really good.
Yes.
All right, Karima, being, cognizant of the time here, how we doing?
Yes, it's 8:41, so we're 11 minutes over the meeting. So I think that I just wanted to thank everyone for taking the time today to be part of this. And I'm sure this is not going to be the last time. And we really appreciate you being willing to try the app and to give us your feedback. So we look forward to talking to you soon, and please stay in touch and through the WhatsApp line, or you can always send us an email at ofish@wildaid.org. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Karima.
Thank you, Victoria. All right, I am going
Thank
to.
you, Karima.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Oh.
All right, I'm going to end this meeting for everyone.
Okay, and thank you, Rob, and the other, presenters.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.